Can Craig Jones find the right opponent for Mica Galvao? It's me, solo Pod Ross, all by himself, as Callum continues his adventures in Southeast Asia. Looking back at the latest WNO event, where Mica Galvao defeated Jonnatas Gracie in the main event. More on that match later, but as is the norm with combat sports events, as soon as there's a winner in the main event, the question is, who are they going to face next? And Craig Jones might be the guy to find the right opponent for Mica Galvao. And the reason I say that is because Mica could take part in CJI2. That's an idea I'll explore more in a bit. But also, Craig, I believe, is friends with Ben Kovacs, who I think is now involved in running FloGrapling. And Craig knows how to promote an event. He knows a storyline. I believe he's a fan of pro wrestling, so he'll have learned well as he's watched pro wrestling over the years, knowing what works when it comes to making matches that excite people. And off the back of Mica winning, he became the middleweight champ, I think, at FloGrapling, who's number one. It's tough to keep track of all the belts. I think he already had like the belt in the weight class down. And after the match, when he was interviewed and was asked for a featured opponent, he said he would like to face Pedro Mourinho, who I think's the 205 champion for who's number one. And I think that would be a terrible match to sort of waste one of Mica's matches with who's number one on. The reasons are Pedro, for all his skill set, for all his submission threat, particularly on the front head, isn't the most exciting grappler, isn't often in the most exciting matches. If he beats Mica, it really does nothing to advance his situation, his standing in the sport. Likewise, if Mica beats Pedro, does it really do anything for Mica? I don't think so. If Mica wins, it ties up another belt, so then Mica has 3 titles, but he's only going to defend 1 title at a time. So we have to wait months until all those titles get defended. So it just creates a backlog. So I don't really see any good reason why that match would take place, other than Mica's chasing history, wants to hold 3 different belts in 3 different weight classes at one time. Although, like, for all the who's number one belts mean, I don't really know how great an achievement that is. It's not like being a double champ in the UFC, like Conor McGregor achieved back in the day. It's about, and even then, if you look at the UFC, like, they don't really allow guys to be double champs anymore, to fight in multiple weight classes, because again, it just creates backlogs of contenders, ties up belts. So I think Mica has better options out there than Pedro Mourinho. And I'm doing this pod off memory. I got up, I watched who's number one, and then went to train at SBG Aberdeen and was asking around for names who Mica should face. And some of the names that came back in no particular order were PJ Barch, Elijah Dorsey, who've given Mica tough matches recently, Dante Leon, who has a win over Mica. Obviously, there's the Tyne Dalper match out there that, like, lots of people want to see. Don't know whether that would be gi or no gi, but I think, like, that would probably be the biggest name value match that Mica could have right now. There's the Rotolo brothers, but I think they're probably tied up with one. There's the Tackets, but maybe they're tied up with the UFC. I'm only speculating. I don't know exactly the status of those contracts, but with them being in different promotions, it might be hard to put those matches together. We have up-and-comers, I would say, who are like ascending to that absolute elite level. So we have Mateusz Jasinski, who's out injured just now, but hopefully we'll see him back soon. Joseph Chen, Levi Jones-Leary, who had an amazing performance at CJI. So those guys are out there, and I think all of them would be more exciting matches. Another name was like Jansen Gomez in the gi. That could be an awesome match to see. So, and please jump in the comments and let me know any names that I've missed that you would really like to see Mica face, or if there's any of those names that I mentioned that you think like that's definitely the guy for Mica to face next. Let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to reply to all the comments. And also, like, we know Craig Jones is sort of like the god of online jiu-jitsu debate, chat, forums, content, etc. So like he's omnipresent, he sees and hears everything that's going on. So you never know. Like he might be in the comments, he might see these suggestions, he might even listen to the pod and hear what people want. And I think like he's made the point on his podcast that if you want to see athletes get on CJI, if you want to see them in super fights on CJI, etc., like, you know, message him, let him know, and like message the athletes and say like you should be putting yourself forward, etc. Like try and create some online buzz. Like, I think that's really, really important. And that's why I'm saying like maybe Craig can have a think and have a word with Ben at FloGrapling and say like, no, like, you know, Mica's shout out for Pedro Mourinho, fair enough, like he's stated why he wants it, but like these matches make way more sense. As for the match itself, Mica against Jonnatas, on the feet, like we saw a foot feet takedown from Mica, and I think we've seen a couple of guard pulls from Jonnatas. Like most of the match was Mica on top, trying to pass, using pretty much like body lock passing, really good like active leg pummeling, shin pins, etc. to like advance up the body. That's a style of passing that's really popular right now and makes complete sense. Like if you can shut down someone's upper body from moving and then use your legs to pass their legs, that works really well. You've got Joseph Chen with a high tripod. You've got Adam Virginski, who uses more like a blanket position on top to do that. And then you've got Mica, who's like maybe a bit lower with his body lock, but like very active with the pummels of his legs. So I'm sure if you want more on that, it won't be long until like the usual content channels like Less Impressed, More Involved have analysis of that sort of thing. The Jiu Jitsu Oracle, we exist to highlight what we see, but also like, you know, it's the joy of the bar chat with sports. Like who's the best, who should they face next, and then like little bits and bobs of the matches. You know, that's what we are interested in at the Oracle. So if you like a pub chat, then you're in the right place. So Mica Galvao, yeah, really good talk. Like Jonnatas, he almost got a couple of things going. He's really good at inverting and threes inversions. Like he started to get a couple of looks at the back, but couldn't get snug enough to Mica to try and, well, to complete the sequence. Mica did a good job at extracting himself from any danger long before it became big danger and get back on top position. So I think Mica looked really, really good. The question is, what next for Mica? So get into the comments and let me know. A couple other things I really liked at WNO were Kit Dale's performance against Jean-Jay Ribeiro. And again, talking about Mica's passing and how good that was. Somebody else who showed awesome passing at the event was Kit Dale, who spent the vast majority of the match on top or standing. But in the standing situations, definitely better wrestling than Jean-Jay. We saw some nice arm drags. We saw some nice back exposures and takedowns, etc. On top, really good in that HQ passing position. Janji trying to play knee shield. That's a tough place to play knee shield against like a passer with the physical strength, the jiu-jitsu strength of Kit Dale, and also like the mobility of his legs. Again, he did. I mean, these leg pummels are, happening in multiple matches, just in different ways. And Kit's was more from like the knee shield, like hip switching, and then rotating his legs as he did that, and managing to sort of clear the guard. Whether any of the passes would have scored in IBJJF competition, I don't know. Janji, I think, rolled a turtle to sort of get his back off the mat and get back in the game. Chose to go back to his feet a couple of times, but really like couldn't get anything going in the match. It really was a great performance from Kit. Another thing I liked was when Janji went to the close guard situation, which is one of his strongest guard positions. Kit used a Sao Paulo style movement with like going with an arm, maybe like his right arm with an underhook or body wrap on that side, and then passing, switching his hips a little bit and breaking the legs open on the left side. So that Sao Paulo position, like, it's one of those ones I find like as you experiment with it, it feels like a little bit fraught with danger. But actually, like, the more comfortable you get there and the more you understand what's going on, the better the position is. And like, if you can get there and use it to twist your opponent's hips, it puts a lot of pressure on their legs, and really like popping the feet open at that point isn't too tricky. So I think it is like a good way to go. Close guard, you don't necessarily just have to stand up to pop the feet. Using that Sao Paulo style does work really well. My coach, Casey, shout out, he uses it well. It's something some of us at my gym have started to, play around with. And yeah, Kit looked great using it. So what's next for Kit? I think off the back of the CGI2 Australasia trials, I'd have loved to have seen Kit make the team. Wasn't to be, but I think having him involved in a super fight at CGI2 would be awesome to see. I think with Kit, like, he said in his post-match that, like, Janji probably has more submission threat than Kit, so you're not going to get necessarily like a lot of finishes in Kit Dale matches, but you are going to get a lot of good jiu-jitsu, a lot of good wrestling, and a lot of good top game with him passing. So if you can find the right opponent for him, I think it would be an exciting match. The thing is, like, maybe even then, out of 10, a Kit Dale match might score like 5 or 6 for excitement. But actually, Kit, his personality, what he brings to the event, that's like 9 out of 10, right? Whereas there are other grapplers who, yeah, the match itself might be an 8 or 9 out of 10 from an entertainment spectacle, but their personality is like a 2 out of 10. So Kit scores 15 or 16 on that scale. Other guys score 10. So I think Kit, it's great while he's got a window in his acting career and he's doing a bit more jiu-jitsu. Let's keep him active, and yeah, let's see him involved in CGI2. He didn't make the Australasia team. One guy who did, Declan Moody, he had an awesome heel hook victory over Felipe Andrew. Felipe from guard, I think, used K-guard to try and enter Declan's legs, but Declan was ready with a counter, snagged a heel hook, and got the victory. That Australasia team at CGI2 is going to be very problematic for the other teams, because you have Fabricio Andre, who's very, very durable at under 66. That's exactly what you want. I mean, he is very hard to put away, so he can definitely he can submit lighter guys, but like bigger guys are going to find it tough to put him away. We've seen that at the Polaris Grand Prix where he did really, really well, I think against Giancarlo Bodoni and Owen Livesey. Then you've got Levi Jones-Leary, again, with his guard, one of the best guards in the world in no-gi jiu-jitsu. His ability to get to the back so he can finish, particularly, like, it'll be easier for him to do that against lighter guys, but yeah, big finishing threat on the back. But it's so hard to pass. So you have those two guys, very, very durable, and they can submit. And then, like, you have three absolute submission snipers in the higher weights. So, like, Lucas Kennard, we saw what he did against Victor Hugo at CGI 1. He's at under 88. Declan Moody just showed his leg lock ability against Felipe Andrew, who, like, I think had a great run at CGI. And, like, we all know, like, Felipe as well, like, on the legs, like, that straight ankle lock can be devastating. So, like, going into a leg entanglement with him and coming out on top, really, really impressive. So Declan's got good submission skill. And then so does Belal in the heaviest weight. So that Australasia team, I think, shaping up really, really well. It's, I'd say, the best of the Misfits teams right now. Just on that, you might have seen the last edition of the Jiu Jitsu Oracle, where it was Callum and I, as usual. We recorded that before Callum went out to travel Southeast Asia, and we scored all 5 grapplers on the New Wave team and the coach. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. We're going to do it for all the teams along the way. But I'd say, as it stands, like, I'd expect the Australasia team to score the highest out of the 3 Misfits teams. The European team is decent, but I just don't think it's anywhere near as good as it could have been. Like, we don't have Shazinski on it because of injury. We don't have Owen O'Flanagan on it because he didn't do the trials. The likes of Tommy Langacker and Taylor Pierman are not on it. So, yeah, some top European grapplers not involved in that team. And then we only know one grappler on the Americas. That's North and South America team, coached by Greg Souders, and that's DeAndre Corby. Still waiting for the other 4 slots to be filled up. I think I know 2 of the other slots. Not going to give away the names or speculate on them because I could be wrong. We'll let Craig announce them, or Greg announce them, and then the Oracle will react to the announcement. But I think, if I'm right, the 77 slot is still available, and then Mica Galvao is out there. So if Craig can sit down with Mica, maybe convince him to take on a different match at the next WNO, some of the names I suggested earlier, and at the same time convince him to take part in CGI 2, that would be awesome. And that would be like a huge boost to the Americas team, which I think so far, from what I can work out, would still trail the Australasia team for me in the score that the Oracle is going to give them. But you'll need to tune into those episodes later on the road to CGI 2. What else happened at WNO that I want to touch on? Yeah, so I mentioned Mika's win, mentioned Kit's win, mentioned Felipe Andrew against Declan Moody. I'm going off memory. There was a win for Paige Vet. I'm not like the most familiar with her work, but I think like the commentary was suggesting that she, and I just like was scrolling through the event and kind of caught the match. So commentary was suggesting she competes at a heavier weight, I think. So yeah, let me know what you think could be next for her. But like, I think it would be unlikely that she'd be involved in the CGI women's tournament. And we know Helena Krevlar is the first competitor confirmed for that. And I think Craig had said like they've definitely got one more name secured for that. I hope Adele Fornerino takes part. But yeah, stay tuned to Craig's podcasts and all his social media for a confirmation of that. But yeah, off the top of my head, I think that's what really stood out for me at WNO. So at a 20-minute mark, I think that's a good time to wrap up a little review of the event. But like, you let me know in the comments who you think Mica should face next. Am I being harsh on Pedro, or do you think there are, like me, there are much better options out there? Do you think Mica should jump into CGI, maybe jump on that America's team? And then how strong do you think the Australasia team is off the back of Declan's performance? Would you like to see some more of Kit Dale, much like me? And if there's anything I've missed, jump into the comments and let me know. But like I said, Jiu Jitsu Oracle will be back soon. The UFC BJJ Road to the Title event as a way to kick off, and then that's going to run up. I think there's going to be 8 episodes of the reality show running up to the UFC BJJ 1 event. So definitely going to be lots of content on that across that time frame. And then we're going to be doing Oracle podcasts on all the teams involved in CGI, scoring them, rating them. And then obviously CGI 2 itself is going to be a huge event, and we're going to have lots of coverage of that. So like, subscribe, follow, tell your friends, etc. And yeah, Jiu-Jitsu Oracle will be back really soon with more coverage of the elite Jiu-Jitsu submission grappling scene.